Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chatter Up with me, Alex. Alright, so before we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and plug all the social media. So if you haven't already, go and like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Both of those are at Chatter Up with Alex. You can also go subscribe to the YouTube channel, that's also called Chatter Up with Alex. And also don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode. We are also on Spotify, Google and Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Castbox, Breaker, and Radio Public. So if you could, I'd really appreciate it if you could go like, follow, and subscribe to any of those podcast streaming services. Now, with spring training games right around the corner, we're going to start a series of videos and episodes. Each of these, they're going to be a review of all 30 teams and their offseason moves. Those are going to be things such as trades, free agent signings, and anything like that. And we're also going to predict what their potential 2021 opening day roster will look like. But before we get started, let me know down in the comments, what team are you most excited for me to cover next? With this being said, today's episode, we are going to start with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, let's step right into the Chatters box. Alright, so we're going to go over their 2020 season a little bit, just to get a little idea of how the Pirates did. So, the record last year was 1941 with the 60-game season. Not the best, honestly. Obviously. Not honestly. So, with that record, they were obviously last in their NL Central in their division, and they were worst in the MLB. Yeah, not good. Not good at all. Some of the stats for them, for their hitting, they were last in MLB in runs, slugging percentage, and OPS, which is, if you want to win games, you gotta be first in those, or not first, but definitely higher than that. They were also 27th in home runs with 59 as a total team, 29th in RBIs with 210. That's out of 30, by the way, for those that don't know. And then they struck out 521 times and only walked 167 as a team. And they were also 28th in the league in average at 220. Alright, so some of their pitching stats. As a team, they were 19th in ERA at 4.68. Isn't terrible. Kind of average, honestly. They were last in saves. Only 6 saves throughout the whole season out of 19 opportunities, so their bullpen was not very reliable. 12th in home runs given up at 80, not terrible. 8th in strikeouts, they had 536 as a team, and then they were 3rd in walks given up, 249. So for the pitching side, they actually did pretty decent. Obviously, the saves weren't the best. ERA was okay, but the strikeouts and walks were there. So, I mean, at least their pitching is going on the upside with their rebuild. Some of the standout players that they had, they really only had one, and Brian Hayes. He's a young third base prospect. In the 2020 season, he batted 376 with 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, and a 1.124 OPS in just 24 games. That's not too bad, if I do say so myself, for a rookie. And he's also got a great fielding. He's been compared to guys like Nolan Arenado, Matt Chapman, like that kind of fielding. So we'll see if he can keep up on that potential. Alright, so we're going to move on a little bit. We're going to get into some key offseason subtractions and additions for the Pirates. Alright, so we're going to start off with these subtractions, or some of the people that they lost in this offseason. The very first one we're going to go over is Jameson Taillon. He's right-handed starting pitcher. He did not play for them in 2020. He was recovering from Tommy John surgery. But they lost him actually to my favorite team, the Yankees. They traded him to the Yankees for a right-handed pitcher, Ronzi Contreras, shortstop Michael Escato, outfielder Cannon Smith, and a right-handed pitcher Miguel Uhari. So Pirates got a pretty decent haul in that trade for Jameson. for him not playing last year, so not bad. They also lost Chris Archer in free agency. He went back to the Rays. He did not play last year either. Joe Musgrove, they traded him to the Padres, who are making a lot of crazy moves. I'm very excited to do their episode later. They traded him for right-handed pitcher David Bednar, center fielder Hudson Head, right-handed pitcher Drake Fellows, left-handed pitcher Omar Cruz, and they actually made a three-way team trade, with the Mets, and the Mets sent them catcher Endy Rodriguez, and then the Padres actually ended up sending over left-handed pitcher Joey Lucchesi to the Mets to complete that whole trade. Alright, so next subtraction for the Pirates was a pretty big one in my opinion, at least on the offensive side. It was Josh Bell, their first baseman. So they actually ended up trading him to the Nationals for right-handed pitchers Will Crowe and Eddie Yean. So, not bad. Right, Will Crowe's got a lot of promise, so we'll see how he does. Alright, another one is Trevor Williams. They lost him to the Cubs in free agency. They lost Derek Holland. He signed with the Tigers. And then they also lost Keone Kela. He signed with the Padres. Like I said, Padres been making moves. Alright, so now we're going to get to the key offseason additions that they made. Be honest, they've only made a few. My big one that I think they signed Todd Frazier to a minor league contract. I think he's a great clubhouse presence. He'll be a great mentor for all the young guys in there. I think that was a great signing. I highly doubt he won't make the team of the big league club. Alright, so they also signed Tyler Anderson, a left-handed pitcher. He went 4-3 last year with a 4.37 ERA and 41 strikeouts. They signed him to a year contract worth $2.5 million, so not bad for a pretty decent left-handed pitcher. They also signed outfielder Brian Goodwin to a minor league contract with an invitation to spring training. Last year he batted .215 with 6 home runs and 22 RBIs. Not terrible, not great, obviously. So we'll see how he does in spring training coming up. Their next addition that they made is Chasen Shreve, a left-handed relief pitcher. He did pretty decent last year. He went for a 3.96 ERA and 34 Ks. They also signed him to a minor league contract with an invitation to spring training. Another addition they made I've already gone over is Will Crowe, the right-handed pitcher that they got in the Josh Bell trade, and Miguel Uhari. I know he's young, but he's a good right-handed pitcher. He pitched to a 1.29 ERA last year and 8 strikeouts, and just 7 innings pitched. So I think that was the only game he pitched, but not bad. And then again, they acquired him in the Jameson Taillon trade. Alright, so next I want to go over what their lineup could look like with and without a DH. So with the DH, the lineup could look like Adam Frazier playing at second base, Ke'Bryan Hayes at third base, Brian Reynolds playing left field, and then what I would do, I'd probably platoon Colin Moran and Todd Frazier at first base, batting fourth, put Gregory Polanco at DH, Eric Gonzalez at shortstop, Brian Goodwin playing right field, batting seventh, their young prospect Jacob Stallings playing catcher, batting eighth, and then sliding Anthony Alford in the 9-hole playing center field. So without a DH, I think the lineup should probably look like about the same, with Adam Frazier, Hayes, Reynolds, again flopping Moran and Frazier for righty-lefty splits, and then keeping Polanco in the lineup but putting him in right field. Then Eric Gonzalez still at shortstop, bumping Alford up from the 9 hole to the 7 hole, and then Stallings still in the 8 hole, and then their pitcher batting 9th. So, I mean, they still got a lot of work to do, but that's not a bad lineup for in the middle of a rebuild. Definitely a lineup with a lot of promise. All right, so next, we're just going to go over their 2021 rotation options. They got quite a bit. They got about like 7 or 8 decent options they can have for the rotation. I'm sure we'll see, if not a good majority of them, if not all of them, pitched at some point this year. So I think I think their ace is going to be Mitch Keller. Last year he did decent. He went 1-1 with a 2.91 ERA, 16 Ks, in just 21 and 2/3 innings. They have Chad Cole, or Cool actually, I think. His record was 2-3 last year with a 4.27 ERA, with 44 Ks and a 46.1 innings pitched. They also got Steven Brault is a good left-handed pitcher. He went 1-3 last year, 3.38 ERA, 38 Ks, and just 42 and 2/3 innings pitched. And then again, like I went over earlier, they have Tyler Anderson. He went 4-3, 4.37 ERA, 41 strikeouts. JT Brubaker, right-handed pitcher. He also went 1-3, 4.94 ERA, 48 Ks, 47 innings pitched. Cody Ponce, young pitcher, 1-1, 3.18 ERA, 12 Ks, 17 innings pitched. And then round that out with Will Crow and then Miguel Uhari. So they got a lot of options. For those that don't know, typically people like to go with a 5-man rotation, so they'll have to make some decisions. So we'll see who makes it out of the spring training in the rotation. If I had to guess, though, it'd probably be Mitch Keller, Chad Kuhl, Steven Brault, Tyler Anderson, and then I'd like to say Will Crow because he's a pretty good young pitcher, but we'll have to see. It's a toss-up between any of those last 4 that I mentioned. All right, so for the 2021 season, with him being the most reliable pitcher coming out of their bullpen, I think their closer is going to be Richard Rodriguez. Last year, he went 3-2 with a 2.70 ERA, and he had 4 of the 6 saves that the team had overall last year, with 34 Ks and 23 innings pitched. So not bad. I gotta say that's obviously probably your most reliable person out of the bullpen, so why not make him your closer? Alright, so now we're gonna finish this video with just a few predictions and some players to watch for the next season or upcoming season. So for some key players to watch, I would definitely watch Ke'Bryan Hayes, that third baseman. I'm telling you, I think he's gonna be a pretty big star for Pittsburgh. Jacob Stallings, our catcher. Mitch Keller, that right-handed pitcher. Will Crow again. And then O'Neal Cruz. For those of you who have not heard of him, this dude is 6'7", 215 pounds, and he plays shortstop. Like, if you want to compare, that's like Aaron Judge playing shortstop, which would be insane. And then he's actually the number 3 prospect, so he's not in the majors yet, but with Eric Gonzalez there at shortstop, I don't see him being in the minor leagues for too long. The last time he played in 2019, since there was not a minor league season last year, he batted .298, 8 home runs, and 34 RBIs. That was across like 3 levels and 73 games. So he's pretty good. Got a good bat. Got good size, obviously. So we'll see if the Pirates eventually call him up this year, which I don't doubt that they will. Alright, so I think this year, the team MVP for the Pirates, it's going to be Ke'Bryan Hayes, definitely. Their Cy Young, I think it's going to be Mitch Keller. And then the Rookie of the Year, I'm pretty sure Hayes still qualifies. So if it's not Hayes, it's going to be Cruz. And then I'm going to go ahead and predict their team record and their placement in their division. For the record, I'll give them a 72-90. I don't, that might be being too generous. It's going to be 72-90 or 62-100. One of those two. And I think they're going to stay down in 5th place in the NL Central, unfortunately. All right. Well, that's all I have for you guys in this episode. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.